watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
And thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 4. I'm Mark Hall. Annalisa Gale will join you later this evening. Taking a live look outside at sunny and clear skies. It is certainly a beautiful day to mark the unofficial end of summer. Let's head over to meteorologist Scott Sumner, who's in for Damon Matson, who's off all week, with a first look at our forecast. Scott, not a bad day today.
Not a bad day at all, Mark. Yeah, you and I are smiling because it is a gorgeous afternoon. Look at this, 81 degrees and sunny. The humidity has gone down, so it's not a very sticky atmosphere. We've gotten rid of that temporarily. And boy, a little bit of a breeze out there too. Feels kind of refreshing. Now, we'll see those numbers that are in the 80s currently, and specifically in DC, continue to slide through the 70s and get to late evening into the upper 60s. And by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, it could be right around 60 degrees, if not in the upper 50s. Yeah, a refreshing air mass to say the least. Now, wind gusts currently are in that 20 to 25 mile an hour range for some of us, like DC, like Leesburg and Martinsburg and Hagerstown. Otherwise, the winds are below that mark and will fall throughout the evening here as we go into night. Speaking of the evening, walking your dog tonight, early evening hours, we'll see temperatures in the 70s, partly cloudy sky and breezy conditions. So what about the weather headlines here? We're looking at, again, a little summary here. It has been a mostly sunny Labor Day. Certainly by the afternoon it has been. Dry and pleasant next few days, and a fall feel to tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday. Next chance of seeing any sort of storms, well, they'll return here by the beginning of next weekend. We'll break it all down for you and explain it coming up in just a little bit. Mark, back to you.
All right, Scott, thank you. Right now, police are trying to solve a man's murder in Silver Spring. They found him between an apartment complex and a hotel just across the D.C. line. DC News Now's Kevon Dupree covers Montgomery County for us, and he spoke with a number of people, including someone who heard the commotion.
The shooting happened on 13th Street here in Silver Spring. When police arrived, they found a man in an alley who had been shot several times. This created a lot of concern for people who live and stay in the area.
It was slightly traumatic, you know, because of the fact that we didn't expect something like this to happen this close to us.
People in Silver Spring devastated after a deadly shooting Monday morning. Joe Ellis is one of them. He's visiting the area from South Carolina and heard loud noises while he was in his room at the Holiday Inn Express.
We knew they were doing construction around the corner, around the corner, and we were just here for just a few days, 4 days, you know, and just to have something happen right outside your window, you know, it's really surprising.
It's a tragedy, right? Anytime anybody loses their life, especially in a violent way, especially in a town like this, like it's so quiet, it's peaceful most of the time, people are really kind.
Samuel Manis lives in the apartment complex near the spot where police found the man's body.
I think in Silver Spring, you know, you hear sirens, you know something's happened, but it's a nice town. I'm not particularly concerned about my personal safety.
Montgomery County Police is trying to find the person or people responsible for the shooting, and they're also trying to figure out what led up to it. Reporting in Silver Spring, I'm Kevon Dupree, DC News Now.
All right, Kevon, thank you. In the district, police are identifying a man killed in a double stabbing in Northeast. It happened Sunday afternoon near Division Avenue and J Street. Police say 23-year-old Gray Hall died. A woman is recovering in the hospital. So far, no arrests have been made. In Maryland, temporary water restrictions are coming to southern Prince George's County. They start Wednesday at 8 p.m. and impact people in Clinton, Rosaryville, Martin, Brandywine, Accokeek, and portions of Fort Washington. And people will be asked to limit water use. That means shorter showers and don't leave faucets running. Limit flushing toilets and only run full washing machines and dishwashers. Well, the county is also asking you to not wash your car and do not water your lawn and do not top off your swimming pool. These restrictions are expected to be lifted Friday or Saturday, and it's also crews can replace part of a major water main under Downhouse Road. Well, extra fencing is up around the Israeli embassy in the district as protests erupt around the world following the deaths of 6 Israeli hostages in Gaza. A sea of protesters seen in Tel Aviv this weekend, and today tens of thousands of workers went on strike, and protesters are demanding Israel's prime minister reach a ceasefire deal with Hamas and bring the remaining captives home. President Biden is now adding to the pressure, saying that Mr. Netanyahu is not doing enough to secure a deal. And tomorrow night at D.C. Synagogue will hold a national vigil for the 6 hostages killed. The ceremony will take place at 8 p.m. Israel in Addis, Israel, in Cleveland Park. It's open to the public, and it will also be live streamed. One of the most high-profile hostages is Israeli-American Hersh Goldberg Poland. He has ties to Virginia, and his funeral was held in Jerusalem today. Here's Capitol Bureau reporter Tyler Englander with more.
You could really hear the pain in the voices of Hersh Goldberg Poland's parents at his funeral service today in Jerusalem. Hersh's mother, Rachel, saying for nearly 330 days, she was certain that her son would return home alive. However, now she's being forced to turn that hope into grief. The perfect son for me. That's how Rachel Goldberg described her son Hersh at his funeral today in Jerusalem. Over the weekend, Hersh, who spent parts of his childhood in Richmond, was killed along with 5 other hostages by Hamas after being held captive for nearly 11 months. Hersh's father, John, calling his son a great guy who always sought ways to make the world around him better. His father adding that his 23 years with Hersh were a blessing, and his family will work to make his legacy a similar blessing.
For 23 years, I was privileged to have the most stunning honor to be Hersh's mama. I'll take it and say thank you. I just wish it had been for longer.
Now tonight at 8, Knesset Beth Israel right here behind me will hold a vigil in Hersh's memory. In Richmond, I'm Tyler Englander.
Well, it's been a week. It's been less than a week since a D.C. police officer died when a gun he tried to retrieve accidentally fired and struck him. The funeral for Officer Wayne David scheduled to take place next week. The tributes continue to pour in for the officer who served more than 25 years with the department. DC News Now's Dave Laval joins us from the Bryant Street townhomes and condominiums in Northeast as folks there get ready to honor the fallen officer later this evening. Dave.
Well, that's right, Mark, and behind me is the memorial to Officer Wayne David. You may ask yourself, why is that service taking place here? Well, this is where he lived for more than 2 decades. Neighbors and friends told us they simply want to honor one of their own.
It's really not enough, because Wayne was an amazing person.
Loreline Gregory knew Wayne David since they both moved into the Bryant Street townhomes and condominiums when they first opened in 2001.
He was generous. He just had a spirit of generosity and just love. He loved life and he loved people.
Gregory is among those at the complex who honored David's life with this memorial. To her, the officer was more than a neighbor.
He'd helped me personally. I will miss him dearly.
Harry Thomas is the advisory neighborhood commissioner and a lifelong friend of David.
We know that Wayne David's life meant more than just something. It meant that he built and helped love and build a community.
Officer David died August 28th when a gun he tried to retrieve from a storm drain near I-295 and Eastern Avenue accidentally fired and hit him. The suspect, who is said to have tossed it there, escaped on the back of a motorcycle on 295. Police are still looking for him.
He was a servant to the city as an officer, but he was a servant to our community. He did all the things that you always hope people grow up to do.
Thomas and others say this memorial is their way of honoring the life of Officer Wayne David.
Thomas also wants to get the nearby intersection of 18th and Bryan Streets renamed after Officer David. As for tonight's vigil, it's going to start at 7:30 right here at the Bryant Street townhomes and condominiums. We're live in Northeast. Dave Laval, DC News Now.
Dave, thank you. People around the region are marking the official end of summer with a trip to the pool in the Hagerstown area. Families made the most of the break from work and school to gather at Martin Snook Park Memorial Park, taking those last laps in the pool, a cookout in the picnic shelter, a hike on the nature trails, and shooting hoops on the basketball courts. The lifeguard tells DC News Now that they're bittersweet about parting ways until next season.
Always nice to see everyone having a good time in the pool that we take care of and that we care about a lot, and it'll be nice like having all the guards here one last day because they've all become a lot of my close friends too.
Well, while pool staff are sorry to see the season end, they are excited about the annual Pooch Plunge this coming Friday. Dogs in the community will get a few hours to themselves in the pool to kick off the fall-winter break. Well, by the way, 8 outdoor pools in D.C. are open until 6 tonight. And the city of Gaithersburg and the volunteer fire department threw a Labor Day parade at the Bower Park today, and it included high school marching bands, dance groups, antique cars, clowns, and more. This was the city's 86th parade. While others may be spending their Labor Day relaxing at home and taking a break from school or work, other people, like first responders, report to work as usual. Frederick County reporter Skylar Salas rode along with some first responders to find out how they're spending the holiday.
Labor Day is a day to recognize workers and their achievements, and although people like first responders still clock into work, they say they don't mind not taking the day off.
Much like any other day at the firehouse, we still get to work at the same time. We still do our checks, we still train, still go to the grocery store and go about our day kind of like you would any other day.
Mike Webb is the captain of the independent hose company station. He says during the holiday, the station does tend to see more calls.
If there's a lot of road traffic, you can probably expect, depending on where your firehouse is located, to run more vehicular accidents or things that involve the roadway. Or if you have a state park or something, you can pretty much anticipate you're going to have heat emergencies or things along those lines when you have large public gatherings.
When they aren't running on calls, they use the downtime to do maintenance on their equipment and vehicles. But whether it's a busy day or a calmer one, they say working on a holiday is something they are used to.
I never really thought about it. I think most of us, largely speaking, especially in this line of work, you're just happy to go to work.
Reporting in Frederick County, Skylar Salas for DC News Now.